Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the number one undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxy.
What's up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the Boxing Breakdown. I am Mark Roxy, and I am here with my partner in crime, Mr. Harold Hunt. Harold, what's up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm actually, it's been a crazy day, but I'm super good now that I'm on the air with you, my friend. And
that's nice.
We have a lot to talk about. The last time we were on the air, we were chopping up the Amanda Serrano, Erica Cruz fight. And we were talking about just the nature of women's boxing and the amazing stuff that was going on. So listen, if you haven't listened to that podcast, you should listen to that podcast. It's the one right before this one, and it's pretty interesting. Man, those women really lit up the airwaves 2 weeks ago. And here we are today. And we've got lots of news to report. We're going to talk a little bit about the rankings. We're going to talk about the news. We're going to talk about some results. And we're going to get into a little bit of everything tonight. And we were, Harold and I were talking just before we went on the air about the Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fight. So we're going to recap that. We're going to talk about the uncomparable Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor. And we're going to get into Subriel Matias versus Jeremiah Ponce, which that was a fire fight. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and break down some boxing, a little bit about everything. And to be honest, really, check this out, you guys. If you are tuning in on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, do not forget to give us a ranking. We'd love to know how we're doing. Hit the 5 stars if you like what we're doing. We appreciate that. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, thanks for being with us. And you can see us here on YouTube. So that's kind of cool that you get to kind of be in the room with Harold and I on YouTube. We are at The Boxing Breakdown. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Boxing Breakdown. And we are coming to you live on Facebook right now as well. So that's kind of cool. If you're on Facebook, what's up, friends? And so Harold, man, first of all, we have a lot to talk about. This weekend was pretty action-packed. Some of the latest results. Let's start it off with Ilunga Makabu versus Badu Jack. Were you able to see that fight?
Yes, I saw the highlights of it. I didn't see all of it, but it was a great return to glory for the winner.
Yeah,
and
man.
That winner is Badu Jack. So that was great for him to move up and take his left hook with him. And it was effective at the higher weight. And he is a 2-time champion now, Mark.
Yeah, man. No, 3-time. 3-time champion.
3-time.
Yeah. And actually, interestingly enough, it was an interesting fight. They both did a great job. I mean, it was, Makabu was a tough fighter. He's a tough competitor. I wasn't sure how that was going to go for Badu Jack, but it was an interesting fight. I mean, I think that Badu Jack definitely was able to find Makabu throughout most of the rounds. Although I know in round 1, Makabu took that round. The judges had it 10-9 for Makabu in round 1, and then Badu Jack came back in round 2, and it was a 9-10. Makabu 9, Badu Jack 10. Flip-flopped right on back to Makabu winning round 3, 10-9. And then in round 4 is where, things started to shift a little, because Makabu was down from a counter right hand in the 4th round. And, he also went down in round 11 from the same counter right, the same hook. The same hook put him down. So interesting fight. I think at the end of the night, that fight, the score was 106 to 109 for Badu Jack, bringing him into really, world champion, unbelievable, 39 years old, Harold. What do you think about his age, the fact that he's 39 and he was able to pull that off? You know how rare that is?
Yes, I agree with that. However, his fundamentals are so sound that as he ages, he can still compete strictly because he has defense where it's supposed to be. His offense is pretty much nondescript, but he's not an exciting, flashy fighter. He's very efficient.
Yeah,
and he didn't take that many heavy fights in his career. He's lost a few. He had a bad cut in the past and this, that, and the other, but he's never been really beat up, and his fundamentals carried him through this fight.
Yeah, man. I mean, Badu Jack really achieved something special, man. I mean, the history that he set out to make, from the moment that he really took that fight, like the moment that fight was made, he was out to really make history, and his punching was very, very concise. It was like on point. It was really, really an excellent performance for him. And he's become a 3-division titleist after he stops, Makabu, man. And I saw Makabu, when we were out there in Youngstown for that bout a couple months ago. I think it's probably more than 6 months now, but when we were out there and I saw Makabu, man, I thought he did a great job. He was really like superior that night. This night, he wasn't, I don't think he was at his best. But certainly going into the fight, I'm thinking to myself, Makabu's a tough competitor for Badu Jack. But
they did go back and forth, as you know. So it was a decent fight as far as being competitive.
Yeah. So, no, man, it was an interesting night of boxing there. That was a very interesting fight results wise. And then of course we're going to have to get right to it about Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. Let's recap that fight because there's lots to break out. There's lots of, for some reason when you get to these guys, there's lots of other stuff you can talk about as far as they're concerned, but let's get into the fight.
Okay. Well, as you know, this was Jake Paul's opportunity to prove to the boxing world, the actual hardcore, that he is in fact a fighter. Now he has the kind of money and the kind of access to actually train as a fighter. With all of the trappings that go with a fighter that has money to train and facilities and opportunities for all the different chambers and this and that and the other. So he got a pass to a point because a lot of other fighters saw how hard he worked, and so be it. You are trying to be a fighter. So his first opportunity to prove to the public he was a real fighter was against Rockman Jr. Rockman could not get him down in weight, and that fight was scrapped. This is his third try at Tommy Fury. The first two were canceled, this, that, and the other, visa problems. This was the third one. So during the fight, you could actually see where if you're starting out as a fighter, you get the fundamentals put into you at a young age. If you're starting out in the middle, as he was 18, with 20-something years old, you can see those fundamentals just weren't there because that's something that's not ingrained in him. And you can look at the punch stats to see they were doubled in every category, strictly because Tommy Fury is really a fighter. He is, in fact, a fighter. He was taught to be a fighter from a very young age, and all he had to do was call on his basic muscle memory that he's been taught to win the fight, and he easily did. Now, yes, he was knocked down at the end of the round. You can't discount power. If you get hit clean and the other guy has any kind of power, yes, you're going to go down. But it was more of a stunning shot. It didn't rock him or anything to that match effect. So I just thought that the fight was good. Jake Paul was off balance so much. He didn't have balance to me at all, and he was kind of throwing the punches over his foot. A lot of different things, Mark, I'm sure you're going to point out, but just the basic posture of his fight, it missed a little bit of the discipline of a real boxer. Not being disparaging here, I'm just saying it was clear that Fury was a boxer, and Jake Paul was learning, if you will.
Yeah. No, I agree with that assessment for sure. I mean, I felt like Jake Paul seemed to be somewhat stiff coming into the fight. And I didn't expect that, because at the beginning of the fight, if you recall, Jake Paul pulled some antics. He took a little longer than he should have to start his way down the the cauldron or whatever you want to call it to get to the arena. And he had Tommy Fury sitting in the ring, or just standing in the ring, like trying to stay warm. So I thought that was an interesting play, gamesmanship wise. I thought it was pretty.
It was cute, if you want to use that word.
It was, but he tried a lot of things. But I think at the end, what I noticed, knowing about these things, right? I noticed that he was in the dressing room. He didn't even have his top on. So, when it was time for him to go, like he was rushing to get his top on. And I really wonder if he was even warm at that point. I don't really know. But, what I do know is that he seemed to be really stiff. And like you said, he was lurching. There were a lot of lurching motions that he was making early on. He was reaching for that overhand. It didn't take him long to pull out that overhand right, trying to loop that shot in to hit Tommy Fury. And I think a lot of that it seemed like it was nerves and it was frustration, and he felt like he was not being able to get off or find his range. So he was looping that shot in. And unfortunately, it really didn't find a home until much later in the fight. But the interesting thing about the fight, right? The interesting thing that was working for Jake Paul was that jab. His jab was snapping the head back of Tommy Fury. I mean, it was snapping at. I'm sure today, Tommy Fury woke up with a very, very stiff neck, because the jabs were landing. They were beautiful jabs. I just didn't think he took his feet with him, Harold. So he was landing the jab, but his feet weren't coming up with him when it was time to throw combinations. And another thing, Tommy Fury did a great job of tying Jake Paul up in between the combinations. So Jake Paul was not able to get the combinations off because Tommy Fury was just kind of all in there, making it pretty sloppy. Were you able to pick that up?
That goes back to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Clinching is a huge part of boxing. You have to know how to do it, when to do it, where to do it. A person who really knows how to clinch can clinch you and take deep breaths at the same time. Yeah. They can rest at the same time. They can mute your offense at the same time. So he did all of those things. He muted him. He was able to rest. He was able to turn him. He was able to lean on him. The clinching was a well-placed tool in that fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It certainly was a very smart tactic to use, and it neutralized Jake Paul's both his aggression and his ability to land combinations effectively. And also I'm gonna say something else about that fight. something that I found to be really interesting on the Tommy Fury fight part of the fight is that they need to work. And okay, if y'all are listening, they need to work on getting Tommy Fury at the correct distance so that he can land multiple combinations. He's got to be able to throw more than just 4 punches at a time in those moments where he's got Jake Paul covering up and he's hurt. Because had Tommy Fury thrown 5 or 6 punches in those exchanges, he might have been able to take Jake Paul and put him out. And I know Jake Paul, you know, if you're listening, you wouldn't agree with that. But I'm going to tell you, if Tommy Fury let a couple more punches go at a time, it might have been a very, very different looking fight on Tommy Fury's part. So that's something they definitely want to work on down the line. You know, we're talking about this fight like it was a world championship fight. I mean, the headlines in the boxing world are like, I mean, everything is Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. To me, it blows me away that a guy like Jake Paul, who's really only got a 6-4 record with one loss now, is in the headlines. I know boxers, I train boxers right now that have the same exact record and they get no love, man. This guy's, you know, it just blows my mind that this is possible in the boxing world. And I'm just...
It doesn't blow my mind. Look where he came from. I mean, his dad, his brother, he's a star over there in their version of with Big Brother over there. He's a fashion model. He has endorsements.
Right. No.
I mean, nothing against your guys, but they don't have any of that.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
So,
I agree. I'm not disagreeing. And it's well documented why they're there and how they got there. And, you know, the fact that, you know, look, for those of you that are boxing fans, or if you're a fighter or if you're a manager, look, the bottom line is asses in the seats. If you get butts in the seats, man, you have a chance to do some pretty amazing things in the sport of boxing. So, you know, note to self, take a note, okay? If you cannot put butts in the seats, it's very, very difficult to climb to the top ranks. And this is a perfect example. You got a guy who's, you know, who doesn't have the pedigree of a Floyd Mayweather or of a, Danny Garcia or Ryan Garcia or, you know, Gervonta Davis. You know, he doesn't have that kind of a pedigree, but this guy is in the news. He's rocking it, and good for you. Good for you, man. I'm not down on you. I'm just saying that it's pretty amazing being in the sport of boxing and watching that able to, you know, happen. So where do these guys go next, Harold? What's next for them?
well, just to go back to the point you were saying about how it's kind of amazing. Well, of course, he has a good guy, bad guy image, but yet he still brings out the stars.
Yeah.
Everyone was there. Tyson was there. Deontay Wilder was there in the same room as his conqueror, Tyson.
Yeah.
There were several celebrities who made it there. Everyone was there. Jake brings them out. Yeah, Tank brings them out, and so does Spence. Right. But he's able to get these people out to come to Dubai, and whenever he has a fight, it splashes across our sport as a marquee event. Yeah. You know, and that's simply because of the image that he put together. The thing with Floyd snatching, all these different things. Yeah. So I think it's good for boxing. But hey, you asked me where they go from here. Well, he has opportunity to kind of save face. If they have the rematch, he would need to knock out Tommy Fury, a knockout, not a TKO, a knockout where the public can see Tommy sprawled out early and excitingly knocked out. Then, because as you know, if he had won, he would have been ranked, not in the top 40, but in the top 50, but he would have been ranked by sanctioned by, thereby giving him credentials as a real fighter. But he lost.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
that ranking is gone. Opportunity to be ranked is gone. Tommy Fury is going to be ranked now, but it won't be in the top 10, but he'll still be ranked by a sanctioning body, thereby solidifying that he is a fighter. Now, he doesn't necessarily need that because he's got the pedigree and all this, but it would have been invaluable for Jake. I
Yeah.
am a YouTube guy, and I was able to make my way
To the
into
rankings.
boxing and to a ranking. So he lost that opportunity. Now, of course, it's a rematch. If in fact he gets the rematch, he knocks him out spectacularly. If any sanctioning body wants to rank him
Yep.
again, that will be a retribution. A lot of
Hmm.
fighters who we're going to discuss today, he lost one fight. He came back and fought the same guy and knocked him out. So
Right.
that is a way to erase that one on your record. Tommy has a chance. I mean, Jake has a chance to do that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, at the end of the night, at the end of the fight, the scores were 75-74 for Paul, 76-73 for Fury, and 76-73 for Fury. So it was a split decision win for Fury, and I heard they want to roll this thing back.
Soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because the scuttlebutt is, see, he's not really a fighter. See, he's taking advantage of the situation. See, when he fights a real fighter, he really can't stand up. You want that type of
Right.
narrative still floating out there when you sign the rematch and then when you have the rematch. I
Yeah.
wouldn't wait a year or anything like that for, as the truth and a fallacy is consumed as truth as you go along because the time frame makes it so. If
Right.
he fights him quickly, I think that can be erased.
Yeah. No, 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 no. Totally. Absolutely. It'll be interesting, man. Harold, did you actually pay for the fight?
No, I
Mm.
was able to. How did I see that fight? I got so
Uh,
many feeds and so many
yeah.
friends send me stuff. So
Yo, man, that
did,
fight, it was
it was,
$50 for that fight.
yes, yes,
I
it was.
cannot believe. I can't wait to see the numbers. When the numbers come out, they weren't out today. Were you able to get any numbers? I didn't.
No, but that price point is interesting. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think it's priced right for sure. $50. I mean, $50 bill. To see a guy who's got a record of 6-0 or 5-0 at the time, that's to me, that's amazing. I mean, look, the audience was treated with an amazing fight with Makabu and Badu Jack. So you can't. That was a very, very good fight. I would have probably rather see that fight as the main event, but as it were, that's not what took place, and it was great. I mean, it was great. It was a great night. I watched it. Was able to watch it with my son. We had a great time. We broke it down, and he had his thoughts on the whole thing. So it was kind of fun. It was kind of a fun night that we had together. And but anyway, look, we got a lot to talk about here tonight. Okay, so let's get into Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor, 140-pound fighters. We are talking about the super lightweight, junior welterweight, 140-pound weight division. And you've got at the top of the division, you've got for the WBC, Regis Prograis. You've got for the WBA, Alberto Pulio. And IBF is vacant, and WBO is Josh Taylor.
Taylor.
Yeah, man. So Teofimo looks like he's going for the WBO belt first. He's going after Josh Taylor, which I think it's a pretty smart move to go for Josh Taylor versus a Regis Prograis. Personally, what are your thoughts, Harold?
Yeah, Regis is on a kind of a hot streak right now. Uh, if you just kind of just look at their both their styles quickly, I think Lopez would have have to have a different plan to fight Prograis. But at this point, I think his style is going to be good for him against Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
Lopez, to me, on the basic level, is just he's going to come to you until he puts you away. That's it. He's going to take it. He's going to give it. He's going to take it. He's going to give it. Whatever discipline you have, unless you have the really kind of power to stop him from coming, he's going to come. Now his defense and offense, they are what they are, but his offense is very, very sudden and powerful. So Josh is going to be moving quite well. He's going to be boxing. Josh is a great fighter also. Yeah, but at this point, sure, Lopez is the mandate for him to do well and to get these belts and to move past his last fight. Like you say, Mark, it's won in the gym. You're gonna win by the work you did in the gym, and I really believe he's going to go over there and take that fight.
Wow. Yeah. So that's your prediction, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, he's focused. He's focused.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't disagree with you. I mean, Teofimo Lopez has a lot to prove. He's got a lot going for himself. He's certainly still, in title contention. He's also ranked number 1 in the WBC. So, he's got a chance for both of those belts. I'm not sure. I know the IBF belt is vacant. But there's another gentleman that's right at the top of that division. And so now we're looking at a very serious fight there. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But look, I wish Teofimo all the best. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. And either he gets to, have his name back in the conversation in a real way, or I don't know. What do you think?
I feel like his name will be back in the conversation. He's going to really gain a lot of knowledge and strength by going overseas again. Yeah. He went before and he was defeated, but now he has another opportunity. And anytime you have an overseas fight where you are the underdog and you're going into someone else's country, climate, cuisine, all of that, and you're successful or you're unsuccessful, it's a great learning experience. And I think that he's going to be able to grasp all of this and just make it work for him. I mean, I think this is his opportunity to get back where he needs to go because he's good for boxing.
Yeah.
And his style is brutal. He's Krogo Magnum, man. I mean, he's just coming and you can do what you want. He's coming. He's going, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. And, that's what it is. You don't necessarily see the technique, although it's there, but it's not something that's so recognizable. The main thing you see from him is he will stalk you, and he has a great chin, and he will stalk you. And when he takes you out, it's pretty brutal. It's not a cumulative type of thing or whatever. It's sudden and it's thudding and it's pretty vicious.
Yeah, no, he's definitely not just happy to be there. He's definitely not a fighter that's just happy to be there. He's coming for you. And so that's going to be a really interesting fight to watch. I will be watching that one. And I wish both of them, great success because that's going to be a very, very interesting fight to get a hold of. Yeah, man.
Josh is sliding to me. He's sliding to me.
What do you mean by that?
He's sliding away from his prime.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, if you guys are out there listening to the Boxing Breakdown, we want to thank you for being with us. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for having a chat with us, man. We are on Facebook right now, so you can get in there and leave your comments. Or you can tune in to YouTube right here with us, and you can post your comments, and we will bring those comments onto the air. But yeah, man, we're talking about everything Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor, which both are coming up shortly. And then the next thing, Harold, let's get into this. Let's get into this fight, man, with Subriel Matias versus Jeremias Ponce, man. Were you able to catch that one?
Yes, they need to call him the monster. I'm telling you. I mean, he was spectacular. Now he fought a guy that had never lost. good power himself, well schooled, and he just eventually started to dominate that fight. But technically, from both of them, it was a technical, brutal fight, hard fight, and um, the body language that was going on in that, the volume of punches, the posturing and the bravado. It was all great. I really appreciated that, and he really fought well, and he was within himself. And it's always hard when you see a fighter lose for the first time, where their will has been broken for the first time. It's hard to see,
Yeah.
and how he reacts remains to be seen. The loser.
Yeah, man. So for me, this was a wake up, definitely a wake up call. It put the division. Subriel Matias did an amazing performance. I was thoroughly impressed by it, and I love that kind of in the phone booth, rock'em sock'em robots for much of the fight. It was really one of my favorite fights of the entire month. I mean, I have to say that I would put that up in the fight of the year candidate, alongside with the Erica
Serrano.
Serrano, the Cruz Serrano fight. I would definitely put this one right up in there because it was an outstanding matchup. And one of the things that I found to be interesting about the fight is, this is another example of it just going well. Mateus, he actually started out and he lost round one, right? He lost round one. And after he lost round one, man, I would have loved to have been in the corner for that, to hear what they said to him, because when he came back out, man, he was on fire, and he came out and he won. He won pretty much all the other rounds, and of course, he took out Ponce in the round 5. TKO in round 5. The team in the corner just said no más, man. That was it. No quiero no más golpes. They wanted no more punches, man. And just an absolutely outstanding fight. I would watch that fight again. I would, in other words, if they ran that back, I would love to see that fight again, because it was a very, very good fight. I just think that, Ponce was a little bit, he was definitely outgunned that night.
And it was well stopped by the referee, because before the towel was thrown in, he was totally defensive. His hands were down around his waist, and if he would have motioned for them to continue, he really could have got hurt, because his motor functions were gone. His arms were just down. And if that towel hadn't come in, the referee was going to beckon them to fight, and there would have been some wicked punches. I'm talking about the kind that could, give you a brain bleed, things of that nature. So the towel came in a perfect position. The ref had to let them fight because he was standing, but he had no control of his arms, and they were at his waist, and he really could have got hurt.
Yeah,
I'm glad that timing came out the way it did, Mark.
Yeah, Harold, at the time of the stoppage, the scores were like 49-45. So he was down. He was definitely down 4 rounds going into the 5th. He was down, he was down 4 rounds going into the 5th. And in the 5th round, it was definitely a 10-8 round. And I think what really, what the problem really was is that he probably had a broken rib or something. I don't know. But for him not to be able to come back out, there was something that happened. There was something that damaged him, that had him stopped, where the team just said, "Hey, we're out. We can't go on." So
what I saw was some clean punches. I saw equilibrium knocked off. I saw clean work.
yeah,
I didn't see anything in particular. He was grabbing his rib or anything like that. I just think that the accumulation of punches was just too great. And then right before he threw the towel in, he was just dazed on his feet. He was,
yeah.
he was out.
Well, Harold, in the just before in the fifth round, he got hit with a body shot. And it was that body shot that put him down, right? The left hook to the body is what put him down. And I think after that, it was kind of like, we can't go on. We can't make it into the sixth. So, look, I will tell you, Subrael, is that how you say his name? Subrael Matias is quite an interesting boxer. He did an amazing job. He looked sharp as tack. And he's right
19
there.
19-1.
IBF,
19-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as they were saying in the broadcast, his life has changed now. I mean, he's got the belt. His next payday should be triple what he's making here. He has an opportunity to really hold that belt for a minute, I would think. I mean, I don't see him losing at least the next 3 fights. So he can do very well for himself. And he does have a pleasing style, and I want to see him again.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, as far as the individuals that are in that division, Teofimo's I think he might be ranked number 5 or number 6 there. You've got Jose Ramirez in that division. I mean, as far as the IBF is concerned, anyway, Ryan Garcia's up at number 10. Richard Comey's up in there. So, I mean, I think Teofimo's going to probably shoot for the IBF again as well.
Well, Mathis says he wants Prograis.
Yeah,
that's what he says.
Of course,
that's what
because he wants the green and gold, man. That's why he wants the green and gold. Everybody's going to want Regis Prograis soon enough. Teofimo doesn't, not yet anyway. So let's see what happens with that. Because I'd like to see that fight.
Well, as Tank has taught us, you don't have to have the green one. You don't have to have anyone, just one, even if it's not, the preeminent one of your division to be successful. Yeah. And he's got this belt here, and he can work with that for many fights before he goes for that WBC belt. So it's all upside for him, and he didn't take a lot of punishment, and he broke that guy's spirit. And other fighters who are looking at that can see that he can break your spirit, and that's something that you want to avoid unless the price is right.
Yeah,
I'll take the loss. Not take the loss, but I understand I could lose. But the upside is if I perform well, I'll get some other work, and this will be a good opportunity for me to have a good payday, and I just might win. So well, that's how his opponents are going to look at it.
Let's get into the Gervonta Tank Davis fight versus Ryan Garcia. What's up with that?
Well, it's been signed. It's going to be done, complete on the 22nd. It is complete,
isn't it?
Well, it's complete. Well, it's still TV. I mean, they still haven't selected a venue. Still.
Really?
But it's going to happen. They have no venue. They have a date, but they have no venue as of yet.
Wow. I can't believe it. But it's
happening. How do you get that far, Mark, and not have a room? But I mean, and that's how. But that happens, and this is in this case, it's going to happen.
Well, it happens because these two mega stars are going to bring mega audience into that arena. That's how it happened. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a battle, man. This is a serious. Hold on one second, Harold. This is a serious battle.
Yeah, it is a serious battle, but there's no titles on the line. It's at a catch weight. either one who wins or loses still has their cachet.
Right.
Tank loses, and then the rematch clause has been worked out where Golden Boy, if Tank happens to lose, Golden Boy has the rights of refusal of the next fight, and this, that,
Yep.
and the other, in which he gladly gave that up because he feels he's going to win. But they're both going into this is as a, I don't want to downgrade and say it's an exhibition, but it's not for a title. It
Right.
doesn't. It's just because the public is thirsty for the best to fight the best.
Right.
But in my opinion, it's a nice, safe fight. Whoever loses is not going to be tarnished too much. You know, Either one of them is not going to be tarnished because they still have their belts.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
I
I
mean,
mean,
Tank still has his belt. Ryan doesn't have anything, but
right.
that's not going to hurt him going forward, I wouldn't say. And if he happens to win, that just changes everything.
Right. So, Harold, it looks like the Battle of Undefeated Prize Fighters is going to take place on April 22nd from Las Vegas, Nevada, just hot off the press. So it is happening in Las Vegas. It is going to be televised. It's also on Showtime pay-per-view as well.
Yes.
And it'll take place at a contractual catch weight of 136 pounds, which should probably not be much of an issue for either one of the boxers, right?
Nice, safe place.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's another like catch-all to make sure that the fight actually happens,
Yes.
right?
And no one's going to be too drained. They can still eat.
Yep.
And if you can still eat and still be relatively okay, you may get a 12-round fight. You may not gas out because you wasn't forced to break yourself the night before at the weigh-in and then try
Right.
to. So they're going to come in pretty close and comfortable, and
Right.
we should see a good fight. I was watching
Yeah.
the footage of Ryan with that left hook as he backs up. How quick it is! It's
Yeah.
very quick and it's very powerful. And he catch you when you think you're coming in, and you don't see it coming.
Mm.
I've seen that. However, Tank has that right hand up when he comes in, when he comes through, when he's a charging, he's got that right hand up. He's
Yeah.
on the phone. So
Well, you're right. They both have defensive vulnerabilities. I definitely think that height is going to play a big role in this fight. Height and reach, and whether or not Gervonta Davis institutes a more aggressive style of fighting in this can really play into it. But at the end of the day, these are both very skilled fighters. The question is, who's more skilled? And there's a fiery debate online. There's a fiery debate everywhere in every boxing gym in the U.S. And probably around the world about who's going to win this fight. And I've heard people talk and people say, hey, Ryan Garcia has more to his skill sets than Gervonta Davis knows. And there's a lot of people that believe Ryan Garcia has, some smoke for Gervonta Davis. However,
I don't agree with
Gervonta,
that.
I know that. I mean, this is what makes this such a compelling fight because, people disagree, agree. They're all over the map about this particular fight. Tank Davis is a tremendous puncher. I mean, he really is a tremendous puncher. And, look what he did to Rolly. He took Rolly out on his back foot. He took Rolly out, So there's a lot of experience there for Gervonta Davis. I mean, he took a Leo Santa Cruz and put him on his back, actually on his face to be more accurate. But, I don't think Leo Santa Cruz has fought since, and I don't think he will. That might have been the end of Leo Santa Cruz, who was a phenomenal fighter. But
No, I believe he's fought since then. Cruz. I believe he's fought since
has
he
he?
lost to Tank. Yes, but Tank has a way of fighting taller fighters. It
Yeah,
seems as he can punch up better than he can punch level at someone his own height.
Yeah.
And if you go back in history, you saw Tyson was able to do that. He was more effective with fighters that were taller and larger than he was, because he could punch up. You looked at Lennox Lewis. He hated punching down. It was a problem for him.
Right.
You know, he needed to be straight across. Recently, look at Deontay Wilder. He was always used to punching down, punching across. Then he had to punch up, and that just changed his entire application of the sport, because he wasn't used to that. So to me, Ryan is out of his element because he's not used to fighting shorter guys. He's not.
Right.
He hasn't had to do that.
Yeah.
Tank, that's his MO. He knows how to do that. He knows how to protect himself when he's in there with them. So that's what I'm seeing. I just see that wicked left hook coming through, and he's going to taste it a couple of times. He's either going to rock him, or if it's not going to rock him, I believe his skill set as a boxer is superior to Ryan.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's been proven, man. I mean, you got to look at Gervonta Tank Davis's. Look what he did to Mario Barrios. Look what he did to Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz is no slouch, man. Isaac Cruz is a real dude. He's a real dude. And Rolly Romero, there's a lot of speculation about how good Rolly is, his chin, this and that. But, at the time of that fight at Madison Square Garden, people weren't talking like that about Rolly. They were giving Rolly a lot. I mean, so he's taken a lot of guys out. And
he's got a title fight coming up. He has the opportunity to fight for a title. So obviously his cachet as far as the way he fights, Mark, as you just said, and his mouth have got him into a situation like this. I just see Tank really taking one to give one, taking one to give one. And I watched the Ryan fights. I'm looking for something that I can apply in my mind that's going to give Tank a little issue. Tank fought Cruz with one hand. His hand was gone after the fifth round. He was still landing the jab. He was still landing the hooks. He was still going to the body with the one hand, up and down the body with the one hand. That is extremely impressive. And people saying, well, he gave him a good fight. I don't know why the public, why other people don't preference any reference to him fighting Cruz in that he only had
one hand.
Yeah. And he still beat that boy convincingly. And in the last round, he rocked him with them hooks.
Yeah. No,
Cruz knows that if he was to fight him again with both hands, Cruz would be out because he was bold. He knew that right hand was gone. I mean, that left hand was gone. He knew it, and he knew there wouldn't be a 3-punch, 4-punch combination. He knew it, and he just stepped in the pocket. And he's a superstar, and he's financially wealthy, and all this just because he was able to go distance with Tank, but Tank had the one hand. So I always trumpet that he beat him with the one hand, and people should understand that. If you go back and watch it, you see that left hand working overtime.
Yeah, he was beating him with the front hand for sure. Listen, here's the thing, though. The right hand, which is his front hand. Yeah. I just want you to think about this. Just think about this for a second. Garcia has won 3 times since the beginning of 2021. He's had 3 victories, including victories against Emmanuel Tago, Luke Campbell, where basically he overcame that early knockdown in that fight with Luke Campbell and took him out, right? So I mean, there is something to say about Ryan Garcia's power and his ability. If he connects with you, he can put you to sleep. But
the quality of opposition, there's no, you can't even compare the quality of opposition. You just can't. Yeah,
no, I agree with you. I think if you look at resumes, if you're judging the outcome, or if you're trying to predict the outcome based upon a resume of previous fights, then yes, you're absolutely right. That's a no-brainer. but there's something here. There's something here. Obviously, this was making it a compelling fight. I don't know if people just want to see Ryan Garcia lose or if they want to see him win. But, let's be real. He's 24 years old. Ryan Garcia holds an undefeated record with 19 of his 23 victories coming inside of the distance. So, with that being said, he's, there's a potential for some damage here. He's also known for his speed and power. Although Gervonta's a big puncher, there's a lot here. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes, he will take hits. He will take hits to give off hits. So
Yeah.
he will be turned around a couple of times with those hooks or what have you. But what I see is he may get hit with them, but I don't see it. I don't see him stumbling. I don't see him falling off. I don't see any of that. Even though it's going to be quite wicked and quite powerful, I just can't necessarily see where he's even been stunned or moved or anything. Yeah. Now, when Ryan got knocked down, he got right up. He wasn't hurt. It was one of those, as the judge, we don't like flash knockdown because there's no such thing as flash knockdown. What's that? But he did go down. To me, he was knocked off balance. It wasn't a thudding punch that shakes his mind and his body. He's stumbling. He got right up, went to the game plan and took him out. So Brian has a chin also.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, listen, we got a lot to talk about. There's so much this fight is coming up. It's imminent. It's happening, folks. It's going down, and you are going to get your tickets, or you're going to watch it on pay-per-view, Showtime pay-per-view, because this is going to be a great night of boxing. I mean, it really is. And
yes, it is.
There's so much going on. Let's just quickly, Harold, if it's okay with you, let's just take a quick little gander at some of the rankings in the divisions that we love to follow so much, right? So I'm sure the boxing breakdown listeners are going to want to know, right, what's happening in ranking world, right? So let's take a quick little gander.
Always good stuff. Always good stuff.
Let's take a little walk down, right? Let's start it off, Harold, with the heavyweight division, right? We got Tyson Fury, WBC. We got Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois is the WBA. And the IBF is Alexander Usyk, and the WBO is Alexander Usyk and Joe Joyce, right?
Joe Joyce. Don't forget about him.
I did. I said Joe Joyce. I said that. All right. Cruiserweight, right? We got Ingua. Well, Makabu just lost it to Badu Jack, right? We got Al Golmirian and Jal Opatella. I'll tell you what, these names are killing me, bro. Lawrence Okoel, right? And then in the lightweight division, 170-pound weight class, we got Arthur Beterbiev at the WBC. And WBA, we've got Dimitris Bivol. And the IBF, we've got Arthur Beterbiev. And the WBO, we got Arthur Beterbiev. In super middleweight, 168-pound division, of course, we've got Saul Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez right there. We got the WBA, we got Saul Canelo Alvarez and David Morrell. And the IBF, we've got Saul Canelo Alvarez, and the WBO, Saul Canelo Alvarez and Joshua Ryder. In the 160-pound division, we got Jamel Charlo and Carlos Adames. At the WBA, we got Gennady Golovkin and Erislandy Lara. And the IBF is vacant. And the WBO is Janibek Alamakali. Remember him?
Yes, the ALL. His last name I see for sure.
Yeah, man. So the welterweight division, we've got Errol Spence for the WBC. The WBA is Errol Spence and Imatias Tanciones, and the IBF is Errol Spence, and WBO, of course, is Terrence Crawford And we could go on, but I think we're going to kind of, because we covered the super lightweight, junior welterweight, 140-pound division with Regis Prograis at the WBC. And, Josh Taylor at the WBO, and Teofimo Lopez making his run for the WBO belt. So that's kind of a little recap on the, the rankings here. And Harold, man, I just want to thank you. We're rounding out our hour time.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. It always is. And if you are tuning in, thank you so much for being with us. Get with us on the other platforms, Facebook Live, Facebook, YouTube. Get up there at the Boxing Breakdown. And do not forget to like us on, all those platforms. You know what to do, man. I say this every single time. And if you're tuning in on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, or wherever you get the podcast, thank you very much. And yes, do not forget. Thank you, Harold. Give me that pointer down there, brother. Right down there, right? Like and subscribe, hit the notifications.
There it is.
You know what to do, man.
There it is.
There it is. And until the next time, hopefully we don't have to pay royalty on the hoop where they're yeah, I mean, that was
no, we get 3 bars. You get 3 bars before they hit you with that document.
Exactly, man. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Peace and love. And we will catch you guys on the next Boxing Breakdown. Until then, this is Mark Roxy. And on behalf of Harold Hunt and the Boxing Breakdown, peace and love. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Fight fans, join host Mark Roxy and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions, fan reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title fights, state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's the Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark Roxy.
And Harold Hunt.
Thank you.